and I hope you've been having a blessed weekend. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Angaza Show. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi, and today we'll be delving on the topic of communication, especially between the parents and also their children. Anytime there is a communication breakdown, it automatically means there is no progression, assumptions will be built, and even chaos might end up erupting. And we have a generation that is very much opinionistic. They have what to say. Sometimes they're correct, sometimes they're wrong. We also have a generation of parents who grew up taking orders but not receiving orders. And there's a generation that is not just taking orders, but they also feel they can give orders. We'll be having this conversation and many other more conversations immediately after the musical break with Andy the DJ. Thank you very much for joining us for the Angaza Show. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi, and we are here at the Clarence in Westlands. I want to say asante for giving us this opportunity and a place where we can have these conversations. Someone did a demographic and said the people who were born in the 80s used to listen to their parents. And the people who were born in the 90s also. But the people who were born in 2000 going forward, they don't just listen to their parents. They also speak to their parents. And they say possibly that is the last generation. The 90s and the 80s, these are now considered as the millennials. That was the last generation that ever took orders from their parents. A lot is happening, and people are saying now it looks like democracy must step in the house where every opinion matters, and the greater opinion, whether it's right or wrong, has to rule. Some parents are not okay with this, and some young people are also taking advantage of this. And with me is a psychologist who's going to help us to understand on how perfectly to communicate, not to talk at each other, but to talk to each other. So welcome.
Thank you.
And maybe we can begin with introduction.
My name is Rose Ouma. I'm a counseling psychologist. I've been practicing for the last 8 or so years. I have a background in psychology and communication as well. And I was born in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I listened more, but I'm parenting in the 2000s.
Okay.
So definitely the scope has changed.
Okay.
Yeah, we are learning more from our children than just children listening and looking up to us. We are equally looking up to our children. So the dynamic has changed over time. Yeah.
Let's begin with the very basic. How can we define communication before we even go to how people communicate? How can we define communication?
I think communication is actively listening.
Okay.
Actively listening meaning I want to understand, and if I don't understand, I can repeat myself and say, Pastor T, did you mean this?
Okay.
Yeah, understand and also be open to feedback. Okay. So it's not one size, like I'll say, so I've communicated, but did you understand me? Did you get my perspective of things? Yeah, because also communication is wide in terms of your background, how you're brought up, what is happening in your life right now, because I might just come here and I'm freezing because today is a cold day. And then you're telling me, drink water. And I'm like, no, I don't want water. And you're like, you're being rude. Okay. But I haven't told you where I've come from. It's really cold. Okay. So you have to look at the whole spectrum and try to understand. Yeah.
Okay. So it's actively listening, not just actively talking.
Actively listening.
Yes.
With an open mind to understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, being in the practice for that long, you've met parents with their children. Where is the problem? Is it with the parents or is it with the children, or is it both?
I think it's two-way. There's normally with communication, if the information is not passed across the right way or understood, then there's a disconnect. Yeah. So the disconnect could be coming from the child or from the parent, or just assuming, but the parent is not understanding me, or the parent is like, this child is not listening. Yeah. Because that's where the parents come from. This child is not listening. We because we are in the position of command, we expect to be heard. Yeah. And you listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe what are some of the things we can point out, especially to the parents, and we'll come to the young people? Some of the things from somebody said sometimes the best way to counsel is even to share your personal experiences. So it doesn't look like this just book knowledge. Some of the things you think that when it comes to communication, I think here parents are missing it, and this is what they can do right for effective communication.
I think lack of understanding because of the generational difference. Just like my parents are struggling to use a smartphone.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, there's a slang that now we say, if you want to see your parent humble, let them, show them how to use a phone. They are very humble. They're listening to you because you're like, oh, so I'm the teacher. So it's that disconnect that is there between the two generations, that sometimes you feel like because you're in this generation, you understand things in a different way, and your parents understand things in a different way. Just like you said, people who were born in the 80s and the 90s listened. Yeah. These other ones want to be heard, and just not to be heard, understood. Yeah.
So the parents ought to pay more attention to what the young people are saying. Yes,
and the young people need to also extend grace, because most of these things are new to us.
Okay.
Yeah, they're new to our parents as well. So when you come and speak up, it sometimes comes out as you being rude.
Okay.
Instead of just sharing your point of view. So also, as you're extending grace, it also means you have to be sharing your point of view with respect. Yeah, respectfully.
So some parents have really withdrawn and they say, you know what, I don't understand this person. I choose to have my peace. Is that the best way of survival?
You're not choosing peace, are you? I don't think you're choosing peace. I think you're choosing not to care, which is very dangerous. Yeah.
But they're guarding their emotions at the end of the day. Because now we've spoken that these young people, some can be very rude. And some can be very aggressive and very responsive.
Yes.
These young people have an opinion. And you'll hear parents say, kabla nikulani. I'd rather hold my peace before I curse you. How do you navigate through that?
I think as a parent, your children, like they say, children are a gift from God. And you're a custodian of this child. So my opinion is that you shouldn't give up. As much as you sometimes you just want to throw your hands in the air, but you should not give up. And also, the bigger thing that I talk to a lot of people about is extending yourself grace. As you extend other people, extend yourself grace. Such that when you feel like, at this point, I am really going to break this child, you take a pause, you take a breather, do something that is going to help you relax, then you come back. Just like anything, when you're climbing the mountain, you get to a point, you sit and you're like, let me breathe in, breathe out, take some energy bars. And it looks like it can be so many things. You can be going for exercise, you can be going for therapy, you can be talking to your pastor, so many things. Talk to your friends, go for a massage, do something. Okay. Then you come back. But giving up is not an option, because this is your child. If you're not doing that bit, who is going to do it? Go for therapy with your child. Call someone to talk to your child, make sure there's a good support group. There's always, we are Africans, there's a good support group around us where we have church support, youth ministry, we have a mentor, So this whole support group can assist us. Again, parenting is just not one person. Okay. It's not just father, mother, There's your aunties, your uncles, nephews who have gone ahead, who are older, younger ones, so there's always seek counsel. Yeah.
Let's come to the young people. You said you're already dealing with one. How is the journey?
It's...
How old, first of all?
It's rough. So I have a bonus son who is turning 18.
Wow.
Then I have one who's turning 10. Then I have a small one who is 3.
Let's deal with the 18. The 10 is coming soon.
Yes. Yeah.
So how has it been? Now, this is an adult, still possibly under your roof. How has it been in terms of, speaking and you building a culture of communicating without breaking confidence and trust?
Okay, because we have a big support in terms of, there's another parent as well.
Okay.
So there's a lot of respect, but there are aspects where you'll think they are being rude. So I have learned to ask, not immediately, because immediately they would be clashing. But I've learned to ask, okay, what's up? I saw this yesterday. So my personality is that I monitor something. I just don't blow up and say, okay, Pastor T, you look like you are very cold. I have to see it the first time, then I see it the second time. I'm like, okay, this is a behavior. I saw it Wednesday, I saw it Thursday, so what is really going on? So then I will be able to now make a conclusion that either this is bad behavior or maybe he's going through something. Because the young people are seeing that we don't understand them, that's where they sit from, even before coming to us. Or they already have concluded. This one is a rock of ages. This one does not understand.
Nothing changes.
So you come and you also want to understand. You're like, okay, so so I always have to refer and say, okay, so how is so-and-so doing it? So is so-and-so also going through the same thing? So if it's like something in school, I ask, okay, so how are the other kids? How did they, so when you are in this group and you are attacked by this person or the teacher said this, how did the other person react?
When you say refer, you use examples of people they know.
The examples of people they know. So I will say, what did Pastor T say? And this Pastor T is a friend.
Will that be refer or comparison?
It's not comparison. That is your peer.
Okay.
Then now I'll say, okay, even now your peer, now we need to now move to another level. If the response or the reaction of the other peer was not right, then also come up with a strategy. We normally come up with a strategy of, okay, maybe let's try this. Yeah. Or like now we have something, there's a bullying going on in school. So I said, what you do is, the guy is telling you to scrub. Scrub such that the guy will be like, is this, because the other thing, if you tell them go and scrub the pavement, they get mad. They don't want to do it. They're fighting this person. But when you say go and wash, nowadays we used to wash boilers. When they say wash boilers, I used to scrub that boiler until it's shining. Okay? So do it so well that the guy is like, does this guy understand this is punishment? I'm like, no. Let the person know this is an assignment.
Wow.
So we are in the kill them with kindness. I say you'll feel tired, but learn to do that. Yeah. So we come up with different strategies every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the age where someone said the young people have what we call plurality of truths.
Okay.
So if you don't agree, they will come and tell you, that's your truth. Okay. And this is my truth. And so they are like, may I respect your truth, you respect mine.
Okay.
How do we navigate? Now because there are parents who reach a place and the boy will just listen and maybe he's wrong. But he will just look at you and say, but the pasi, you need truth yako wekana. Me, this is my truth and this is what works for me. And literally everyone else can see this guy is on the wrong. Yes.
That's where now we leave them to School of Life, because School of Life teaches you. Okay. And School of Life has no mercy. You'll come back and sit and one day come back and say, Pastor T, that thing you told me that day, if you, whatever you said. Yeah. Because also, when someone has a particular perspective of something, you can't change it. You really can't change it, especially when you want them to see it from your perspective, because probably you have experience, or normally when you're speaking and you know something, it's because you have experience of it, or you have seen it happen to other people. You can't change someone's perspective if they've not journeyed through it. So you leave them in the School of Life. Yeah. You keep guiding so that they also don't fall off, but let them live through it and understand it. Yeah.
But this is your child. Because one of the greatest even conversations I've had is with young people. I'm saying great because they're also coming from somewhere. They have their own depth, they have their own truths, but at the end of the day, there is a gap when it comes to facts. And again, you're dealing with a very bold person that they can look you straight in the eye and lie. Because this is what they have heard and this is what they believe. By the way, this ought to be the truth. And that's why they're coming to the place of our truth. Wacha tuongeleshe wasea young briefly. Juu pia kuna vile wanasema, wasea young wamepita mipaka. I don't know what's your view on that, just dealing, because, having an office of that nature, it means you face both of them.
Yes.
Some will come and blame their parents and make them look like, this is stone age. They don't understand. We're trying to bring this view. But also some of them, the way they bring it, it's dictatorship and all that. I don't know how you manage to handle. How do you go about that if you are to speak to a young person when it comes to communicating with them that are senior to them?
I think it's just helping them bridge these two worlds, these two generations. And the young person who gets to bridge the two generations is the most, I think, the best thriving one in terms of parent-child relationship.
Yeah.
Because they get to, when we get to because I do about 8 sessions, when we get to session 4, they're like, Mom said this, and I understand, because, back in their day, so that really is an aha moment for me. But it's just bridging that gap of helping them understand that this is where your mom was coming from, and this is where you're coming from. So at that point, even when they go back home, they're able to say, Mom, you did ABCD, but I need you to understand. So even that communication respectfully.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing, communicating respectfully, both from the parents and from the child.
I also want to know in the next segment how to begin a conversation with your children.
Okay.
Because we are having these parents who a child will come, na mekosana, na najifungianga kwa room. How do you break that ice? And also we have this boarding school culture where the child disappears for long and they come and it's like the first week is orientation. Then before maliza tena amerudi chuo. Because these are some of the things even parents are facing, and how to initiate sensitive conversations. Because at the end of the day, I believe it's very powerful when it comes from the parents. Sometimes you'll hear people saying, enda kwa auntie yako akwambie hiyo mambo. So how do I begin those sensitive conversations? Anyway, thank you very much. We're looking at parenting and communication, especially sana sana ile generation tunaongelea sana sana wangali majenzi juu hao ndo wamekuwa wameturudisha darasa. Anyway, we'll be right back immediately after the musical break. Thank you and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This is the Angaza Show. Thank you to Andy DJ for the amazing mixes, and also the Clarence for giving us this particular venue for the recording. And we're here just discussing about parenting, and especially this very generation, more so on the part of communication. There's a general assumption, hawajui na tunajua. There's also a general assumption, kuna vitu tunajua, hawajui na wataki kusikia. So how do we break this? Because I believe the two generations need each other, and when communication is broken, then many things are broken, even the quality of their relationship. And right now we want to see on how do you initiate conversations, especially as a parent. It's very easy for a child to come and talk to you, but you as a parent, how do you initiate conversations? Now, yes, that's where I want us to begin from. We've seen, I've seen young people who will go or who will come and, they will kosana with the parent. And you realize there's tension. And, nowadays, some people are blessed. You have some rooms upstairs, or you have some extra rooms, and the child has her own room. And she will wake up, eat, and go back. It's like a small jail. One man told me he made sure that when he was building, he didn't put washrooms. He made sure that this was not a master and suit for the daughter and the son, so that wakikosana our time hapo kwa choo. Okay. Bado tu ataenda loop, so they can have a conversation. Because now you see, when you have everything, you can lock yourself up. And I know there are parents who've even tried. So as a parent, how do you possibly even initiate a conversation, especially when there is tension? Because you see, that means you won't parent in oblivion. You must talk. These kids sometimes, even when they are wrong, they still mood swing.
Yes.
They throw tantrums.
Yes.
How do you still initiate a conversation when tantrums are there and possibly the person is 100% evading your presence?
I think let's start by also being realistic in terms of not just children are the ones who throw tantrum or don't accept when they're wrong. Even you, sometimes when you're wrong, it takes you time to go and sit down with yourself and call yourself to a meeting and be like, anyway, I was wrong. Then you call back and you're like, hey, Rose, sorry, I did X, Y, Z.
African parents are never wrong.
So yes. So I think one of the most, the first thing to do is show genuine concern.
Okay.
I would say give them time. You know, bang the door once. It could be just a bad day. Day 2, then 3rd day, you know, just reach out and show genuine concern. Like you really want to understand.
Okay.
And the one thing I always say is, this is my house. So my rules apply. My rules apply with a bit of grace, being that you are residents here temporarily before you go away. But this is your house. So just like my parents used to say, this is my house and these are the things we do in this house. These are the rules of the family. This is how our family conducts themselves. So that by default, I should be able to say, please come downstairs and let's have a conversation. I can give you grace today when you say, I don't want to talk about it today. But then I'll ask, when are you willing to talk about it? You say 1 month, I say no. Let's do 1 week, then we have to talk about it. I don't believe that a child can be in the same roof and say, I'm not talking forever, you know. And when you bring in your perspective, you also teach your child, because they're learning. That's why we have people in the workplace, we have people we have relationships with when they're adults, and they're misbehaving because no one called them out. They were allowed to lock those upstairs bedrooms. They were allowed to bang doors over and over, and you just gave up as a parent. So I don't believe a parent should give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the parents should perpetually talk, and number 2, the parents should show concern.
Yes, show genuine concern.
And also, they also need to interrogate themselves, because even the Bible says parents should not offend their children.
Yes.
So offense is a two-way.
Yes.
A child can offend you, but you can also be the cause of the offense.
Yes.
Let's come to the second question, which is the concept of what we consider sensitive conversations. Children will grow. They'll reach the adolescent stage. And it doesn't mean at that stage now you hand them over to a counselor to explain how life will be. But sad story is many parents have neglected some conversations. Conversations on pregnancy, conversations on even dating. You know, you already know your child has entered that stage, and you can see he's becoming a head boy at a very young age, or a head girl. So how, let's help some parents here. How do you initiate such you have a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
How do you initiate such conversations?
We've not initiated the conversation. But one of the things, like in my experience to talking to young people, is that, in fact, one of the things I've been seeing online is a lady is saying how they're being told, don't talk to boys, don't date, don't do. Then they get to 25, 26, 27, they're like, where's your husband? But you told me not to talk to boys, so where am I finding a husband?
Yes.
And there are so many forums where parents can go and learn.
Okay.
So for me, I'm quick to take up a class. There was a class that was about mother of sons, because I only have sons. And I went there to just understand, because I'm raising boys.
Okay.
Sometimes church has these parenting classes, so parents should be open to taking up those classes, because you'll understand more new generation parenting from there. But if you sit in your cocoon, the only parenting strategy you know is how you were brought up. It was, don't talk to boys. You know, for the longest time we knew if you hug a boy, you'll get pregnant. And I have a case of someone who hugged a boy. And by default, you know, the brain has a way of just making things funny. She started bloating and adding weight, and it was just adolescent. And she was convinced that she's pregnant.
Wow. You
know, because no one has, all we've had growing up is warnings. And that's what we pass on to our children. Yeah. Growing up, my mother used to say, because we used to sleep a lot, we were not morning people. She used to say, if you mkiendelea kulala hivi, siku moja mtaamka mpate mama hakuna, baba hakuna. Who are you going to stay with this your sleeping habit? And my sister, my elder sister, is repeating it to her children. Why? Because that's what it was sung.
That was a pattern.
That was a pattern. So we tend to repeat
what we
are told. So let's be open to learning, and learning in safe spaces, like learning if there's a forum where parents are being taught something, or there's an article to read, just to understand how to parent this new generation.
Like this, the mothers raising the boys, maybe what are some of the things you learned and you're like, wow, this one really helped me. I didn't know, but this one really helped me.
Just like at one point, a son will need a father, they will need a mother. So don't, you know, the way they, when you get to a certain point, you're told, oh, this is a mama's boy. There's nothing wrong with a mama's boy, because you are born of a mother. Yeah, there's nothing like daddy's girl. Apparently daddy's girl is more nice than mama's boy. So just accommodating that this is all okay, and giving the best of each.
Okay.
And where you feel like you're failing or lacking, like in a case where probably you're not available in a certain area, seek your community to bring it in. Or you're lacking in terms of just having the, not that you're not equipped, but capability.
Yeah.
Seek someone else to assist. Yeah.
Now let's go practically. Are you planning to have a conversation with the 18-year-old?
Yes.
Yes.
And one thing about children, when they are small,
because 18
growing
already,
up,
18 is already
is not
mature enough.
Is mature enough.
Meaning that it will be very hard to shape his perspective concerning a few things.
Yeah. But most of the time, they have a bit of a clear understanding.
Okay.
And they're equally confused. You know, what parents don't understand is children really look up to them. They really, like, that's the one thing I get in the counseling space.
Okay.
They're like, you know, my mom is this awesome person. Like, that's the one thing. They will say all the good things about their parents, how what their parents are doing, how they are thriving. So remember, you're the first hero of your child. So your children, they're by default looking up to you. Yeah. So don't be afraid to come and share an experience with your child.
Okay.
So yes, we are having these conversations. We are trying to, we bring them in a joking way. We're like, okay, so this is happening. Or when you're watching something and it comes up, so we do that. I find it better maybe because of, we say everything is trauma. My dad used to lecture us. Used to sit down with like a manual, you know, and sit, and I never liked it. So I'm more of a conversational. When we see something, we talk about it then. Okay. And it now blows up into something and we ask more questions. I can't tell my 8-year-old something, or my 9 or my 3-year-old, you know, I have to wait for them to ask.
What if they never ask because of the taboo? Yeah.
I don't think these ones never ask. They might just not ask you.
Okay.
They will find someone else to ask.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because things are happening around us, as a parent, you have to be very intentional to bring it up. Find a way of bringing it up. Either when we watch something or when we do this, you know, you see something in an event, you see something in a movie, and we always have to debate about it and talk. Yeah.
So you bring up the topics.
You bring up the topic. You have to come to their level and understand what do they understand. Then you build up on it. The fact that this one is 18 does not mean that they have that much clear understanding. So you start from where they're at, then you build it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is your perspective on relationships? And why would you want to go through it? You know, that way there's a safe space that even when someone thinks about it, they know that I'm not going to my boys, my fellow 18-year-olds. I can go back to mom, or I can go back to uncle so-and-so, or cousin so-and-so who's elder to me. That is much safer.
Okay.
Yeah.
The truth is some parents have avoided those conversations.
Yeah.
Because nobody spoke to them about it. And that's as you've said, sometimes you have the culture of advancing the patterns that were laid by our predecessors. And, you know, genuinely and very subconscious, we feel like this is the way things ought to be done. And many young people have discovered things along the way. Some are very shameful, and some of them don't even feel like anyone can hear them. What I want to ask the next question is how to amend a broken, you know, whereby people are very open. We've seen children who will be very open to their parents, and sometimes parents who even become very vulnerable, and then something sometimes happen. A child might share a very sensitive issue, which will break the trust of the parent. And this child will feel, whoa, okay, I think now I need to keep my matter secret, because it's like, and their parents also, you share your secrets, it's like you are arming them. The next lecture, all these things will be thrown to you. And you're like, hey, boss, I better not load that AK because it's doing more harm to me. I think I'm sharing and all that. How do we amend some of these broken relationships where people used to, you know, speak, converse, engage and all that? Because the fact that the parent is not talking, it doesn't mean that someone is not talking. Dealing with young people, some of them you'll even hear them quote their dead parents. They'll say, "Mom used to tell me," meaning that when mom talks, though they look like they're not listening, because mom is an authority and we connected through blood, they kind of tend to reason, but their response could be different. How do we mend broken relationships, especially where there was very genuine and deep conversations and communications?
I think saying sorry.
Okay.
Saying sorry and working towards mending the trust, you know. It doesn't mean that it's just, like I said, it's just not parent and child. You might tell me something as Pastor T, and I will be like, you know, and I have to come back and say, you'll be like, I don't think I want to talk to her again. So it's just coming back to say, you know, I'm sorry of the way I reacted. You know, that was a reaction, but I'm sorry. And I will not use this against you. The children need to know that this is a safe space. You have to provide that safe space.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean there's no room for error, because some of the things the children are saying are also shocking.
Yeah.
And it's not that the children are saying, we just never said them to our parents.
Okay.
We never shocked our parents. These children are shocking us.
Yes,
so
yes.
when you're shocked, there's a reaction.
Okay.
It might not be a good reaction, but coming back to say, I'm sorry the way I reacted. Just like an adult, when you react, you say you're sorry. And then now you say, okay, you see, because the child will not trust you again, or will be like, maybe I'm going to, this mom or dad is going to react like this again. So you work towards building that trust again, so that over time, they'll not come back tomorrow again after that bad reaction. But over time now, they can come back and continue the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I keep on hearing my wife asking my children, what's the magical word? And you hear sorry or excuse or please. And it's amazing because those are magical words, especially when they are growing up to know that saying I'm sorry is not a sign of weakness. Even somebody said saying sorry is a sign of wisdom. It's not a sign of weakness.
It's a sign of strength.
Yes, and a sign of strength. So maybe the final thing you want to add before we conclude on the matter.
I think the biggest thing in communication is trust.
Okay.
And if both parent and child trust each other and parent providing a safe environment for their child could be the best thing for effective communication.
Okay.
And when that is built and that is practiced, over time, children really thrive. And parents equally thrive.
Okay.
If you have effective communication with your child and the child has the effective communication with their parent, they become the best of the children, because they know you always have a fallback plan and you thrive. And parents have a safe, a quiet retirement, you know, and you know, your children are out there, but you know, in case of anything, they will always fall back to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. Those who are talking, remember, an authority is always an authority. There is how you say it and what you say. There has to be barriers at the end of the day. Thank you very much for this. I know it's a conversation. It may not end, but it's just a place of sharing wisdoms and just seeing how this matter can be enhanced. So thank you for those who are joining us. This is the conversation on communication between parents and the young people. And so see you immediately after the break for the Crossroad segment. Thank you. And this is the Crossroad segment. When it comes to communication, they say sometimes it's not what you say, is how you say it. I just read a statement and it was saying 65% of our communication is nonverbal. And whatever we say matters a lot because of the tone. The vibration really matters. And that's why you are either talking to each other or talking at each other. I like what the guest said, that the most important thing is to listen and to listen carefully. Communication is not when you are listening to respond. That is an interview. But communication is when you listen to learn, listen to analyze, and listen, and sometimes even a response is not needed because what has been said already makes a lot of sense. Anytime there is communication breakdown, it creates platform for assumptions. It also creates platforms for conclusions that are not out of facts and realistic, because where there is smoke, two things could be happening. Either the fire has gone out or the fire has begun. So if we don't go to the venue of the smoke, we can make the assumption either the fire has gone out or the fire has just begun. But the fact is, the fire is still there. My name is Pastor Tim Mwangi, and thank you for joining us for today Angaza show. Till next Saturday. Bye-bye. I want to say thank you to the people behind the camera, the producers, and also the KBC family for always availing this opportunity to share the gospel, have conversations, and above all, just be there to entertain you in your evening and afternoon. Otherwise, see you next Saturday.